This episode of Inside the Game is brought to you by MSI Gaming. The game just got real. Head to our website at insidethegame.ca, where there you can hit up on the MSI link to get all your PC gaming needs. Now, let's get on with the show. Well, what's up everybody? We are Inside the Game, your one-stop shop for everything cool in video games. Now you want to be a part of the show? Then hit us up at insidethegame.ca, where there you can submit your clip and end off our show with the highlight of the week. Now this week's episode is jam-packed with the journey of life, building bridges, and a game called Foregone that you're not going to want to miss. So stick around, here's the inside scoop. We've been reporting now for the last few episodes that GDC is losing developers. I'm talking Xbox, PlayStation, Epic, Activision, you name it. Every studio seems to be dropping out right about now. And it's unfortunate for the event, but the organizers have gone ahead now and stated that they're moving GDC from March to sometime this summer. Organizers had this to say. After close consultation with our partners in the game development industry and community around the world, we've made the difficult decision to postpone the Game Developers Conference this March. Having spent the past year preparing for the show with advisory boards, speakers, exhibitors, and event partners, we're genuinely upset and disappointed not to be able to host you at this time. We want to thank all of our customers and partners for their support, open discussions, and encouragement. As everyone has been reminding us, great things happen when the community comes together and connects at GDC. For this reason, we fully intend to host a GDC event later in the summer. We'll be working with our partners to finalize the details, and we'll share more information about our plans in the coming weeks. Well, there's the coronavirus doing its work again. Unfortunately, this has taken out a whole event. GDC now being postponed from March to sometime this summer is pretty disappointing, but it's for the safety of others, so totally understandable, and we can't wait to see what happens come this summer.
From Oculus Studios and Drifter Entertainment comes a new title, Lies Beneath. Now this one seems really cool and directly what I like to play on VR. This one's going to be a horror game based kind of loosely on some Japanese horror cartoons. That's exactly my kind of gravy. And you can expect this one on the Oculus Quest at the end of this month, March 31st, and you can expect it on the Rift S, April 14th.
So the coronavirus, it's coming around and it's affecting almost every industry, and it affected the video game industry pretty harshly, but almost positively recently. We had the ESL Pro Championship Tours, IEM 2020 this recent weekend, and it unfortunately couldn't actually happen. 180,000 people were supposed to go, but due to the coronavirus, it couldn't happen. But on the upside, there were over 1 million people, excluding China, that tuned in for this event. Now this tournament was hosted with some CSGO games and StarCraft 2 games, and well, we know that these games get huge numbers, bigger than over 1 million. But this tournament was a small tournament, not gauged to see this many people. So this is exciting, just to know that in the video game industry, esports is climbing even bigger still to this date, even with the coronavirus affecting everything.
So all you Final Fantasy VII fans that are looking forward to the remake coming out, well guess what? The demo is playable for free right now on the PlayStation Store, so make sure you head over there and download it because it's under 8 gigs. The free demo does not require PlayStation Plus and includes the game's opening chapter, including the Mako Reactor 1 bombing mission. The developer is also throwing in an extra bonus for those who manage to download it before May 11th in the form of an exclusive PS4 theme.
Well, this summer got even more exciting somehow with the news of Riot Games' newest title, Valorant. Now this is supposed to be a 5v5 lethal precision shooter style game. and it brings kind of this Counter-Strike feel where you get to buy abilities and weapons at the start of each round with a set of different unique characters. Now this all sounds really exciting, and it finally has been revealed this past week. So this game, it's bringing some really cool kind of unique abilities to multiplayer games, and also it's gonna bring a whole new network. Now I'm speaking about an entire server base that they're creating. It's supposed to only have 35 microseconds of latency. Now this is pretty incredible because most online shooters kind of struggle with this, and on top of that they're bringing some sort of anti-cheat tech as well. So all this to say, I'm super excited about this game for the summer.
NVIDIA GeForce's new streaming service, NVIDIA GeForce Now, is in a little bit of hot water, with Hinterland Studios, the developer of The Long Dark, is actually one of the first games to pull their game off the service because after the beta launch, they went into full launch and didn't ask anybody for permission to use their games. So when the service went on full launch, all these developers are seeing their games being streamed and played, and they were never asked about it. Activision Blizzard pulling their top titans Call of Duty and Overwatch. This doesn't look like a good sign, at least to start off for NVIDIA GeForce Now. Hopefully they can repair some of these relationships and get some of these big AAA titles back on the service. We'll have to wait and see.
All right, Steve, this one's for you. The London Bridge is falling down with this guy. All right, Corey, this week we got a unique title. We got Bridge Constructor Ultimate Edition for the Nintendo Switch. Yeah. So I don't know about you, but this game isn't something I'm quite familiar with.
You know what? This is a game I haven't played in a very long time. And the reason I say this is I've never played Bridge Constructor Ultimate Edition before, but I've definitely played Bridge Constructor games in the past on PC, like long time ago, that played out very similar to how this game plays out. And you know what? The nice thing about this game is it's simple.
Yes.
It's not overly difficult. You don't have to be an engineer to be good at this game. It certainly would help to be an engineer to be good at this game. Because let me tell you, it's not necessarily easy to master. The controls in this one are pretty simple. It's very point and click, kind of drag your materials as you go, whether it be wood, steel, concrete, you're putting in cables, whatever it may be, however you want to build your bridge, the options are there, but there's not a ton of them. So you kind of learn your interface fairly quickly, but then it just comes to kind of mastering building these bridges that can take, you know, passenger vehicles and trucks and things going over, and that's the real test, is building a bridge that can withstand all that weight. And I don't know about you, I had a tough time with some of these.
Yeah, I often kind of, like nearing the end with the harder ones especially, I kind of veered towards more of the car side of things. On the first little bit, you know, because the trucks, they're heavy. They're
heavy, so you have to do a lot more planning, and your bridge has to be definitely a little beefier, and I found that I was skating by, just getting the cars by, and even on some of those bridges, it wasn't looking like a great bridge, but I got by on a few of them, so I got lucky there.
So one thing I found with this game is the simplicity. It kind of gets stale sometimes as it goes along. Now, since I'm not super familiar with all the different bridge types, I kind of found myself sticking to that kind of classic,
old truss bridge.
The old truss bridge from grade 9 AutoCAD.
Yeah, you know what? And that's the thing. This game doesn't teach you, you know, different bridge styles. They just throw you in with the materials and say, get from this end to this end, build me a bridge that cars,
can be as ugly as
trains,
you want.
anything can go over. However you do it, just make it work. And that's all the game wants out of you, which is nice. But you do end up building the same style of bridge over and over again if you don't really, you know, you can't think outside of that box. And they don't necessarily make it easy to do that either, because some of these spans, and they give you kind of a measurement in meters before you get into the level to kind of know how far of a span you have to cross. And you're getting into the 80, 90, 100 meter spans. And now it's like, I'm starting to run out of money before I'm even done building the bridge. So I don't know what materials I should be using more or less of. So there's a ton of trial and error in this game.
Yeah, this game, I definitely find the budget, they're not too, like,
tight.
It's tight. Like, they don't make it so you can just build a bunch of anything extra. It's like almost to the trust.
Yeah, and that's the challenge. I mean, you may pass a level and get by, but then the next thing is you may want to come back and circle around once you beat that area and maybe try to make that bridge a little beefier for less money, and you get some more points. So there is a score that you get every time you complete a level, whether you have the cars go across or the trucks. And this is for the base game. There are some extra maps you get in the Ultimate Edition. There's
elevation.
Yeah, there's a slopes one that kind of gets you into moving the bridges up and down opposed to just straight across. And then there's one that actually does trains, which I got stuck on quite a bit because the trains are significantly heavier than cars, and I didn't learn how to build any newer bridges by the time I got to the train section. So I was still building my same kind of crappy bridges at times, and these trains were just destroying them. So it took a lot more to kind of figure that out. But I did like the fact that it wasn't just cars and trucks all the time. They did mix that up a little bit, and there are 3 more maps to unlock as you go through. They're just not available yet. So there is some stuff to this game, and it's actually only a sub $20 game. So for what you get, I think the value's there, but like you said, it does get stale over time.
Yeah, there's not a lot of depth.
No. All right, Nate, we may not be on the, sturdiest footing with this one, but we did get through Bridge Constructor. If you had to score it, what are you going to give it?
Well, man, the graphics in the game, they're just okay, but I do like the accessibility of the game. This is something you just go in, pick up, play for 20 minutes or so, and then sit down. And it does look good on the big screen too, which is nice. It plays perfectly, in my opinion, on both. So I'm actually going to give it a 6.5.
You know what? That's pretty good. I'm a little bit higher than you because, like I said, I'm not going to say I'm a veteran bridge builder, but I have played games like this in the past. So to come back and play a game like this, I would say 20 years since I played the last one on PC. The nostalgia's there. I did like it. I did enjoy playing it on the TV more than in handheld mode. I get what you're saying about mobility-wise, but I just like being able to see the whole bridge on the TV. I found getting around the controls sometimes hard on the Switch screen. So on the TV it was nice, but overall I had a good time playing this game. Could get repetitive, but overall I'd give this one a 7. The simple game design allows you to catch on quick and have a good time, but extended sessions can make this gameplay feel repetitive. All right, Scott, this week we're trying out a Metroidvania kind of side-scroller RPG hack and slash. Let's check it out.
But now it's under siege, and it's my duty to protect it. I can't let them down. They trained me to kill. But I'm my own greatest weapon.
All right, Scott, back in October, we were at EGLX, and we got to actually interview Jordan from Big Blue Bubble Games about Foregone, their newest kind of side-scroller RPG Metroidvania-style game. And let me tell you, I got to play a little bit back in October, and I was excited, and they made me wait all the way till February to play it, but now we've got our hands on it. What do you think?
Well, this is a good fun. I'm glad this caught your eye at EGLX because jumping into it, it's exactly the kind of game I like to play.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun.
It's this Metroidvania, like you said. We can't say that enough.
No.
It's you're exploring these places. You're building your character up with power-ups. There's a loot drop system where you kill enemies and you get just a random loot. You can turn that in at shops and kind of, tailor your own equipment. There's a lot to be said about this game here, but I liked it.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun because I guess the hype was already there for us before it came out. So when we heard we got codes to test this one out, we got excited to check it out, and I got get thrown into the story right away. You're an arbiter, essentially a super soldier that they've created to kind of fight off these massive hordes of monsters that you were going to find all throughout the scenery as you go through the environment in this game. And it's very much like Blasphemous, which we played a couple months ago, and it's very much the same way where we're kind of searching out this fog of war, going from screen to screen on this side scroller. But this one has this RPG element where, like you said, as you start defeating enemies, they drop items that you then collect. You can view those items even, before you pick them up to see if it's even something you're worth picking up. Yep. And they keep it pretty basic for how all your inventory works. You get your melee weapon, your ranged weapon, you get some defensive stuff, and a couple, like a ring kind of amulet thing that allows you, some other powers and things like that. But what I liked about it is that it actually, as simple as it looks, it is much deeper, than it looks. So you get into it and you start collecting these items, and you realize now you can upgrade these items, and the items you're not using, you can scrap and get money and use those to upgrade yourself. And there's a whole talent tree also that you can upgrade your abilities, and it kind of lets you go through, and you're moving up on critical hit percentage or health overall, so you can kind of tailor the gameplay to how you want to do it.
It does a little bit better of a job than, say, Anthem does, where when it drops an item, you can tell if it's rare or an ultra rare or something like that.
But you don't know what it is.
But in this game, at least, you know what kind of class it is. It's a melee weapon or something like that. Different than Blasphemous, this game's kind of like a future apocalyptic kind of scenario. Yeah. So it's a little weird, but you have guns as well. So
guns or bow and arrow.
Or bow and arrow, as we both discovered. Yeah, the bow is actually really good.
Yeah, it's really sweet.
But this game really rewards you for exploring the different areas and finding, sometimes there's guaranteed drops. And finding some things kind of hidden away in little corners. Metroid kind of set that. Castlevania kind of worked on that even further by putting in hidden sections and everything like that. Those are all in this game too. You find these different little corridors and all these different kind of environments that are just kind of something I haven't quite seen like this.
No, there's a ton of nooks and crannies in this one to explore, and you are rewarded for exploring the map. But to get around this map, it may seem easy at first because you're going from platform to platform, but once you start running into enemies, you start realizing that, well, there's no health pickups here.
Yeah.
You start off with an ability that allows you to recharge your health, only up to a certain amount, and you only get that meter back as you start to defeat more enemies. Yeah. So if you get down to very little health, you find yourself in a bit of a predicament here. The nice thing about this game is if you do die, it takes you back to the main area, but you do find checkpoints along the way that you can kind of, as soon as you die, you're back in it, you can kind of blast back into that checkpoint and start over. But a lot of those checkpoints are distance-wise kind of far from the goals you're headed to. So you get back to that checkpoint, there's still quite a bit you have to do just to get back to where you were at. And I found that a little frustrating.
It's definitely frustrating.
But the fact that I can just jump back in kind of allows you to just get back in and get back into the action. So the frustration's kind of over with, and all right, let's just go beat this guy now. You know what I mean?
It's a very large world with a lot of different kind of biomes going on in it, but because of the checkpoint system, because of the warp gates, it becomes kind of like different sections separated slightly. So you get through these big long sections of kind of weak enemies, and there are a few different varieties, but it's maybe not as varied as I would hope. But then you get to something like a boss fight and you're totally unprepared.
No, the boss fights in this game are awesome. They set it up just like, you feel like you're playing that old school, even handheld Game Boy game boss fight where, you're in the room, the music changes, the boss comes down, it's this huge thing, you're freaking out because you have no idea what it's going to do, how you're going to defend yourself. You may not have enough health before the fight even starts. So this game kind of puts you on edge, but that's what I love about it.
It makes it so good to win when you do get through that section.
It feels so rewarding, so rewarding.
Similar to Blasphemous again. I keep bringing that up because it really set the bar high.
It's very much
this one is stylized in a different way, but I find it's very similar. Like the difficulty
the
is
pixel art
there.
in this game was fantastic. I just want to add that in. It looks so good. Like when you can get pixel art, and people look at pixel art, maybe not see the actual art in it, but when you have flowing hair in pixel art, I'm like, that looks awesome.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Because the pixel is pixelated as it is, how is it still smooth? You get all this smooth motion, and when you're jumping around and moving left and right and up and down all the time, there's a lot of motion that could have really thrown that off, but they really found a way to make it work, especially with all the different enemy types.
Oh, they did a great job. And one last thing I want to touch on is actually just the audio take in this game.
Oh,
and you know what? Super underrated, I think, because you don't even notice how good it is until you're like in the game playing. So all your sound effect sounds are great, but just the music alone, the background music, how it changes when you go from kind of battle to battle, everything about it kind of really immersed you. And I don't know, when you play a game that's feels this polished and kind of this finished, even at this stage we're getting an early look at it, it just makes you feel kind of good about the future of it, right?
Well, that is what I'm kind of curious about. This release date is still at the end of 2020, so how is this game in early access right now? We've seen other games come out, I mentioned Anthem, that have should have taken 2 years on early access, and if they had done this, it would have not soiled build their fan base so much. This game just blew me away. Early access is something that I just think of, okay, I'm going to find some problems. The game's not going to be finished. You know, maybe it's just
things you come to expect, especially when you play a ton of early access games.
But in this one, it didn't really leave that to the imagination. It really does fulfill on all of these weird kind of things. It sets the bar high and it nails it. It's great.
Yeah, great game. All right, Scott, we played Foregone. I don't think it'll ever be forgotten for us. If you got to score it, what are you going to give it?
This one stands out for me, and I have to give it that extra nudge. This is an 8.5 game. I could really sink a lot of time into this one.
Oh, I know. Tell me about it. You know what? I love the fact that you can play mouse and keyboard or just plug a controller in, and it was seamless. I didn't have to change anything. It just recognized it. So for me, I really like that because my keyboard skills aren't great. So I plugged a controller in, enjoy this game a ton more. I'm right there with you with an 8.5. The difficulty level can make this game frustrating at times, but the ability to jump back in and try again will for sure keep you coming back.
Well, boys, we're bringing back an old segment we haven't done in a very long time. We're talking about game relics. Kicking back to classics. Some we're kind of hoping that maybe one day we'd see again. Maybe we won't. Corey, what do you got kicking off?
You know what? It's funny. We were talking about doing this segment again, so we were going through our list of games we used to play. Yeah. And I played a lot of PlayStation 1, and I kind of went through a list, and one of the games that stuck out to me was Driver.
Man,
and
so
you know what? This game came out in 1999, the first one on PC, Game Boy Color, and PlayStation 1 where I played it. Yeah. And let me tell you, if you, as a kid growing up in the 90s, I watched a lot of 90s cop, buddy cop movies, a lot of action movies like that. One of the best things in those movies were the car chases. Sure. And this game is all car chases. It's amazing. The driving mechanics in this game were so good for the time. You were drifting through, you were going through cities like San Francisco, Miami, and they were kind of, for the time, modeled similarly like the cities. So you felt like, you were kind of immersed in that environment. Yeah. And man, just the way the driving felt in that game was so realistic. It was so much fun to play.
Never felt anything like it, especially back then. Man, yeah. But now obviously we have different standards and stuff. But for that time period in that game, the way it drifted, there was nothing more satisfying than coming around a corner and nailing that drift and then just continuing on.
It was so good, right? And you know what? They went on to make 6 more games in the series over multiple platforms as we go on. The last one being made in 2011. Yeah. So, we're pretty far removed from the last Driver game. And if they can make a game like the original Driver now, I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Oh man, next-gen consoles? They need a new Driver.
Let's bring Driver back.
That'd be cool. Sticking with PS1, I'm talking about Metal Gear Solid. Woo. Right, so this is...
You play that game?
A little bit. Just a little bit. So that one really kind of, like, we go way back, but Metal Gear is really where things kind of took off for me, and the stealth genre, I think, really gravitated from there and really grew. What Konami and Kojima produced at the time was something phenomenal. Kojima, the complete mastermind behind the whole Metal Gear franchise, really elevated it to a whole other stealth level, where something you've never seen like this before. The opening sequence when Snake goes underneath the bunker and he comes up through the elevator is like that. At that time was like, this is like movie quality.
Oh, yeah, it was huge for that time. It was huge.
Whoa! And this was when I went, man, video games are not your typical what people think where video games are. And then you see, so Metal Gear from then bounces over to Metal Gear Solid 2 and then 3, and Snake Gear being one of my all-time favorites. And we end off, I'm going to say a Metal Gear Solid 5 because that's a true Metal Gear.
Yeah, we're not going to speak of the other one.
Not too much. Survive wasn't a Metal Gear experience. Let's be honest, right? No. So yeah, that game did not survive. So the last one we saw from Metal Gear will be 2015. So Phantom Pain was probably where it's going to end off because right now Konami owns the rights. Kojima Productions now is a whole other company. Big falling out. Yep. So are we going to get another Metal Gear game? Probably not. Would we like one? Yes. From Konami? Kojima Productions? Okay, right? So there's a bunch of these factors you're kind of going, man, where is this
Death Stranding was not that Metal Gear feel that we were maybe hoping for.
No, we kind of knew that going in. That Death Stranding was a whole different take on Kojima's future and where he plans on going. And I don't see him coming back to that whole Metal Gear stealth
moved on by
espionage
now.
thing, which is so unfortunate because, man, that's what I love the most.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll kick into an old one. Again, we're talking about PS2 this time.
Oh,
No, we're kicking up a notch.
All right, yeah. Smuggler's Run. So Smuggler's Run's been around since 2000. They made a Smuggler's Run 2
Yep, they
2002. So a
Vital,
couple years
man.
later.
Yeah.
And man, you know, as a kid growing up playing that kind of couch co-op,
Yeah.
duking out against each other, trying to rob each other's contraband. Man, like I want to do that again, except recreated again, like GTA 5 did, I guess.
You'd have to make almost like a GTA 5 light.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
actually, yeah.
That's
That's,
what it
where
be.
you're kind of at.
Yeah.
I appreciated that GTA did an update. It was fun, but it just wasn't that full game, man.
Yeah.
So hopefully moving forward, maybe we'll actually get a game. Probably not. Let's be real.
Let's be honest.
I think
but
that gameplay's dated, but that's my personal.
we can wish. We can all
favorite,
wish.
right?
It's funny, even the word contraband throws me back to that game. That's where I learned contraband.
Video games teach us lots of things. Some good, some bad. Yes.
Well, at about that time, I was probably playing some Army Men. I don't know if anyone remembers that.
Sarge's Heroes, what?
That one's a good one, yeah. The last one I played was RTS one, where they kind of went back to their roots. So the game started off in 98. They created the first game. 99 had 5 Army Men games.
They were busy, eh? They're like, hey,
saturated.
we made money. Boom, let's pump out another.
And
Let's
they
hit another
just
one.
kept going. In 2000, you have another 5.
Wow.
In 2001, you have 6. That's kind of where the game started teetering off. Now, there was still a lot of popular demand for these games,
Yeah.
but they just weren't met by the same quality that everybody came to expect out of the first few games. 3DO owned it, and they unfortunately went bankrupt at about the time it started slipping.
Yeah.
And the whole reason, you guys might not know this about Army Men, why are they plastic dudes fighting it out? That whole thing started because at the time it was really hard to sell graphic violence, especially in the European market. Specifically Germany they were having an issue with. So instead of having to make 2 different versions of the game, they just skinned it all to be Army Men.
That is awesome.
And there has been a few rumblings. There was a fan-made game in 2018 that was finally axed. There is a company that owns the rights to these games, 2K I believe, but they're just not doing anything with it.
That's too
And
bad,
we
man.
haven't seen anything really come up.
Yeah. We've all got our relics. Hit us up at insidethegame.ca and let us know what your relics are.
And we sent the target to a place outside of heaven.
All right, Scott, we're on the journey of life. Scott, you and I jumped in over the PC to play Journey of Life. Kind of a light spin on Ark.
Yeah, it's kind of like Ark. Let's try and describe this now. So it's like Ark without dinosaurs. It's kind of like Rust, but without all the people in the building. And then it's kind of like
Empty.
Hand Simulator, where it's empty. It's very empty.
I'm going with empty. That's the biggest problem here. So it is a go out, craft materials, build your stuff. That's it.
And then craft
that is
more
it.
materials. And
But that's all.
maybe
And
build some more stuff. But
yeah, man, I just, honestly, this one didn't hit home with me at all.
so it's kind of like Castaway, where you just wake up on a beach.
Yeah.
And you don't really get too much instruction. There is a little bit of a tutorial to walk you through some of the very basic things.
Yeah,
but it really ends pretty quickly. That tutorial doesn't last very further
5
on.
minutes?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really just tells you how to make a fire. And it doesn't really tell you anything else. Like, for example, that the hammer is used to break down some materials, but the axe is used to get those materials. So there's a little bit of some confusion going on. Because you have to equip your guy, get out in the world, grab your things, and kind of get back to camp. But they don't really make it easy on you.
In a typical game, Scott, you go out and Ark. For example, because I'm most familiar with that game, okay? Grab my pickaxe, I'm going to smash a boulder apart. It gets smaller rocks, right?
Yeah.
If I want to smash those apart, I use my pickaxe.
Yeah.
Boulder, pickaxe. Not boulder, axe. Axe I use for a tree.
Yep.
Chop wood down. This game, I had to crush a boulder apart with my axe, and then from there I had to get my No, my pickaxe, sorry.
It was,
Then
yeah.
I had to get my axe out to crush the rocks even smaller. I'm like, why am I switching out tools when it's just a pickaxe should be crushing all my rocks down?
Now maybe I just didn't understand it properly because I was using a hammer to break them down further.
Were you? Man,
yeah, I
like,
just
it
thought
was just
that
weird.
it was weird that the pickaxe wouldn't do it further, which would then I was doing the same thing but with wood. So I had the axe, cut it down, big log, cut that to smaller log, cut that, and it just kind of kept. But then to get to the base level item, you're beating it with a hammer, and that it never tells you to do this. You use the hammer to build things. So why would I want to bring a hammer around? And this game, you have very limited inventory space. So if you're going to go anywhere on any kind of trek, you don't want to just carry all the garbage with you.
No.
So to have a hammer to break those materials down further is just such a drag when that's like 1/8 of my inventory.
Well, that's the problem, right? Because you were out so far away from where I initially set up my camp. I guess I could have moved it, but at the same time, I kind of like the location. And the idea is to gather stuff around there and go there. So I'm out there and it says gather a stick. I go, there's a stick in the dirt. There's 3 of them actually, but you couldn't highlight it, you couldn't touch it, I couldn't do anything. Even when I came back with an axe, I still couldn't touch them.
That's funny. I think I know what sticks you're talking about. That's
There's 3 there, right there on the map. Exactly. The same thing with the boulders though that are over by the water. You can't touch those either.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a survival game where you're supposed to go out into this world, this environment, and crush, break apart, do whatever you got to do to gather the resources to bring it back. The fact that I can't gather some of this stuff and the way I had to use my equipment to actually break apart the stuff, to me, just didn't make any sense.
Yeah, there was definitely a disconnect there. I think maybe in the water, those rocks maybe will become limestone in a further update. Maybe there's a reason why we can't hammer that one down, but it doesn't do a good job of telling you what you need in order to progress through the technology tree either.
Yes.
So even if you stick through this and you do kind of figure it out on your own, you get to a point where you can't really build a whole lot more without really, really investing into this game. And that gets difficult because there's not a lot to do other than just build. There's basically no online community. It's really hard to connect with people. Like, it's just not the kind of game. It's removed. I'm on an island. I really truly am stranded on an island in this game, and that's so unfortunate because if we could tribe up and make this game, maybe some factions, but there's nothing to do even outside of that.
No, there's not enough to kind of keep me going back to the game, wanting to play more, without just kind of going there to gather resources to see how I can get to the next tech level and expand my base. So I built, it says, craft a table, build a table, and then use the table. I'm like, all right, get the material, craft the table, done. I go to set up my table, it's right there on the beach, nice little spot. Table is imagely there, okay, if that makes sense. There's an image of the table, it's outlined, it's all there, it looks like it's there, but I still need to build the table. I grab my hammer, I got a stick somehow jabbed right through the middle of it on an angle, and it will not let me build the table. Yeah, because you're supposed to use this hammer to just smack the table plan and bring it into existence. You place it first, which requires resources. It's a little weird. And then, but then you're right. There's it sneaks resources in there that were not in the original list. Weird. For example, the pottery wheel. I'm putting together a pottery wheel, and it's many stages of that. You hammer in the list of all the items, and then it kind of moves to its next form. But it's missing things. So then you hammer it on some more, but it comes up with items that were never in the initial list. So you might start these projects, get halfway down there, and realize there's things that you've never even seen before that you need to create this thing. And if that's what you were spending your last couple hours, man, that is disappointing, because I ended up just being curious enough to venture across the island. I went as far as I could in the opposite direction of where the coast I started in was. And what did I find? Nothing. I ran through the night, so I didn't see anything, and I found one enemy, a boar, I assumed by the sounds it was making. Well, there's wolves in the game as well, but even that, I never saw them. No, it seems so empty, and the sound really echoes this too. You're in this island, and it's just blank. There's no ambiance from the surrounding area. If you're in a jungle, man, there'd be like birds chirping, and you'd hear the leaves ruffling, and all kinds of. There's a lot of noise in there that kind of make you feel like, hey, I'm lost on an island. You hear the water crashing up on the beach or something along that line, right? Where it's just kind of almost like a dead silence. Like the water's like glass. Nothing's moving. So. Yeah, it is weird. Well, Scott, our journey of life, I don't think lasted very long.
No, unfortunately not.
What do you score in this one?
Well, this game looked pretty nice, and I have to say that's kind of its saving grace. So if you're gonna try and get into something, you take a really nice screenshot, that might be your game.
Sure.
I have to give this one, all things considered, a 5.5. It's just, I wanted to get into it, I wanted to be curious, but it did just fought me every way.
I'm lower than you, man. The game was buggy, it was empty, it's deserted, the underwater level portion of it was just
rough.
Yeah, like a couple weeds and a stone or two. Like there just wasn't enough there to kind of keep you coming back. I'm there with a 4.
Journey of Life is an ambitious survival crafting game that ultimately fell flat on little content and an empty island.
The Journeyverse is the name of the game. It's well, traditionally represented as an MMORPG in a sci-fi setting, but it's kind of revolutionary in the sense that it's trying to do something that is at the same time not very new, because it's been talked about a lot in the last decades, but completely new because no one is actually doing it. And this idea is to create a sort of an alternate reality, a metaverse where millions of people can actually interact with each other and create stories and content and so on. So that's what we're doing. And Journeyverse has the technologies to do basically 2 important things. The first one is that you get one central server where potentially millions of people connect all together at the same time.
Okay.
So this is often misunderstood. What I'm trying to say is that there is a central supercomputer that's going to be on the East Coast, and everybody connects to that machine, right?
Okay.
There's no local server, there is no instance, there's no matchmaking, whatever. You just log in the matrix. That's it. And there's only one world that is always on, that is persistent. So that's a major technological challenge, and we've been working on that for the last 6 years. The other big thing is that this world where you connect is entirely editable. So you can modify everything. You can, you walk on a planet, you can dig a hole in the ground and dig to the center of the planet if you want. You can take a whole mountain out. It will take you probably several months because it's really big and it's a lot of work, but you could. And then doing so, you gather some materials that you can use in the crafting system to build all sorts of things, and ultimately to construct your house, your cities, your spaceships, space stations, and whatever. So it's really what you would expect from a building game, without any limitations or arbitrary building blocks or things like that. So it's quite powerful. And you can see, if you go on the YouTube channel, you can already see what people are building, because we have actually in 2016 we did a Kickstarter, and we were the 3rd biggest Kickstarter that year in gaming.
Wow.
So it drew a lot of community driven people that are actually playing the game already in alpha stage, but they do amazing things. So I just saw recently some of the applications for the contest on creating space station. It's amazing. I don't believe it what they're doing. So you can create whatever you want. There is all these players in the same world, and so of course there is what I call, a society of players. That means that through the in-game economy, people can trade and specialize in different things. So there is, as I said, mining, industry, crafting. Once you build a ship, you can actually make a blueprint out of it, so that you can start to mass produce it and sell it to everyone. So you get a whole thing that is also about creating nations and what we call more generally organizations. So there's a lot of role playing that can take place there. There is also PvP, so you can attack people. There's a lot of rules around that, so that it's not like a free-for-all PvP where you just go in a game and someone shoots you.
Right.
So there's a lot of rules around territory also. Basically, there are whole moons, we call them sanctuary moons, that are without PvP. So you cannot be attacked if you start to go there. So that's more, that's targeted at builders, people who want to build stuff and they just don't want to go into PvP. But if you go into the PvP zones, then you can be attacked, and there's a lot of power struggle that's going to take place. So the whole idea, is that it's about having the emergence of civilizations competing against each other, where you can decide to become a politician, industrial mogul, a designer, a pirate, an explorer, and that's the core difference with most of the games that have basically had the same pitch. Is that we there's nothing scripted, nothing is actually predetermined. It's entirely player driven. It's completely emerging, and so it's a game where you can be surprised by what you're going to encounter. Maybe you arrive on this planet and it's actually there's a huge city there, and okay, it's not something where the content is going to be created by the game company. It's something where the content is in the hands of the players, and that's a very, very important difference, because suddenly everything you do matters. Things are meaningful. You win a battle, it's meaningful because you have changed the geopolitics of this area, this part of the system. Or this everything you do takes a perspective that is not only your stuff, but it might impact tens of thousands of other players around. If you're the guy that tilts the balance of a big war that is going on, you'll be remembered in the history of the game. The guy who fired the torpedo in the Death Star, if you want. That's a pretty meaningful and impactful thing you just done, and you'll be remembered for that, and it has a lasting impact. This is what I mean by meaningful.
Right.
I could give tens of other examples, but you get the idea.
How do people get involved in the game going to Dual Universe?
Right now, you can buy a support pack on the website, so that will give you instant access to the test sessions in alpha. So we insist on the fact that it's alpha. We know there's a lot of bugs and things that are not finished. There are some missing gameplay that are actually pretty important to the equilibrium. So that's the stage. You can be part of that, more like a tester and helping us to polish the game. And then this summer we are going to release the beta, which is going to be more accessible. And this is where we're going to be probably on the platform, so you can buy the game, online easily, and then you can play it. The price will be probably lower. Nothing is set. It's too soon to communicate on that, but we have published the roadmap. It's official, where we say basically at what time we plan to do the different releases.
Right.
So yeah, it's been a long story. The company, I started it in 2014. It's actually my second company. Before that, I did a startup company in robotics and AI. So you see, there is absolutely no connection whatsoever.
No, not really.
The connection, in fact, is that you know, those companies are both based on some pretty complex technologies. That's what I like to do. And I also think that, you know, a game like Dual Universe could be one day an excellent platform for developing AI technologies. So this is you know, long-term thinking.
Yeah.
But the point is that there's no clear connection. I'm just, you know, passionate about gaming on top of my background in AI, and I just wanted to you know, I've been playing all those games, and I felt something was missing, especially Minecraft and EVE Online. And I thought, you know, if we could just unite those two concepts, we could have something absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's on PC right now. Is it coming to console at all?
It's on PC. There's no plan to go on console. It's not out of the question, but you know, it's a lot of work, and we are kind of super focused at the moment to try to ship the beta in time. So not for now, maybe. I think, you know, to start a game like that appeals more to PC gamers.
Sure.
And we probably have to find a particular twist to make it enjoyable for console. You know, it goes very, very far, the level of customization you can do to your ship or your construct. You can even script in Lua within the game. It's not something you have to do. I always explain that so that people don't are not scared. But, you know, it's an optional thing you can do, and that brings a lot of possibilities for whoever's doing that. And again, I mean, some other people can just buy the end result of this. So you can benefit from the fact that it's scriptable in Lua, even though you don't know how to code or anything. But the point is, well, scriptable in Lua on console, it's not easy to, you know, explain how this could be done. So it might be, you know, that PC gamers will enjoy a little bit more of possibilities, and the console version would be maybe more focused on what works on console. I don't know. It's too soon to tell.
Sure.
But yeah, PC only for now.
Awesome. Jesse, thanks so much for your time. Everybody check out Dual Universe. Nate, you all set for some kung fu action?
Oh, baby.
Nate, you and I got to check out a very unique title, one I wasn't expecting to kind of dig as much as I really do.
Yeah.
It's called One Finger Death Punch 2.
So how we didn't hear about the first one, I don't actually know, because I love the sequel, man. So this game, I don't even know what kind of style game. I've never really played something like this.
So, okay, basically you are a flat 2D stick person, kung fu-ing the crap out of everybody. So you don't physically actually move, per se. You have a bar. So everybody comes in from either the right side or the left side, and they come across. But the minute they enter your bar is when you're able to kick them, punch them, counter, kung fu, flip, spin, dodge. Like there's just, they're all over the place. So there's just like ninja master, taekwondo, all this kind of stuff. It's so cool, dude.
And the way they introduce the game, I think they do it perfectly. They force you to do the tutorial.
Yes.
But the 15 or so missions that it is, it kind of gives you each like a new little upgrade. Like, oh, here's this type of weapon, or this type of character. Because it really, like, I don't know, man. They nailed this one out of the park. The difficulty, it's so hard at some times, but so rewarding.
It's so satisfying because there's moments too where it actually slow down. When it goes, and then you just, all your moves kick in, and then there's just other abilities and weapons you're picking up. But it was a matter, the first night I got it, dude, I sat down and I was there for hours.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'm like, okay, I gotta check out this thing, and I'll go in and I'll bounce around, and I hammered right through the tutorial, all 16 levels in a matter of minutes. From there, jumped into the first stage, beat all those levels almost. I think I had 2 left. Came back the next day, cleared those, right into the next stage.
Oh,
like
man.
it was just go, go, go.
It's really cool. So the main story, I guess you could call it if that's what it is, but
Yeah.
the main story is you're just kind of progressing through this map, and the way they have it built is you can follow the main path.
Yep.
But there's also skill points and revenge tokens and little trophies that you find scattered kind of throughout. So
Yes.
there's these extra levels, bonus levels kinds of things. But the skill points, now they upgrade all these different perks and weapons and abilities, all these wild things that you can get. Like one of my personal favorites is the chainsaw. You
I
get a
know,
chainsaw
I that
or
too.
the lightsaber.
The lightsaber's the best.
I don't know, I'm sure they don't call it a lightsaber, but the laser sword.
Yeah, whatever they want to call it. The thing is so cool. It just matter one swing, you're dead. And then you're mashing up against other guys with the chainsaw, and you just keep hammering on your button. And then you cut right through those guys. But then you kind of get in this little mini boss battle too, where all of a sudden you got to kind of follow the sequence of X or B, which button you hit, and then you follow, and then it ends with this big kind of blast, and you take out the dude, or you get beat, depending on how complicated you get nailed. Because sometimes, man, you got to hammer out. The faster you go, the quicker the guys will come at you too. There's just, it starts off
But it
simple.
gives you these bonuses.
Yeah, but
which
it
then
just
gets all these effects.
Oh man, there's just so much to this game that seems so simplistic, which I was really surprised. It's so, I don't want to say it's too deep,
No.
but there's a bit of depth to it that I'm really pleasantly surprised, and it just keeps me going back to and playing more. And dude, I literally sat there because it's one finger.
It's one finger punch.
I'm
They
just
ain't
using my
lying.
thumb.
Or your
And
thumb.
I'm
I guess
just-
it's not a finger. But.
I'm just using my thumb the entire time. I'll hold on to the Xbox controller with one hand. And I was just back and forth.
Oh, man.
But they keep coming. Sometimes you'll have different enemies, and they have, so they're color coordinated as well. So that'll help you kind of tell what your combo needs to be. Sometimes it's just one punch, sometimes it's two, but sometimes it's the first one, but then they dodge that, go to your other side. So then you're constantly, you got this play of going back
Meanwhile,
and forth, back and
too, there's other enemies that are colored enemies, and they'll throw projectiles. Some of
Yes.
you deflect, or
Oh,
you
you-
dodge, which
grab-
then hits the guy behind you, or you grab
Oh,
the
the
gun
football.
and then shoot it. And it's just a series of ridiculous fun, man.
I can't believe we missed the first one. I don't know how we did, but the second one, I'm absolutely in love with.
Yeah.
So we basically touched on the main portion of the game, and there are a ton of stages within this.
Oh, man.
Right? There's like 6 or 8 stages, which all then have so many levels within them. So it is a long game. We're talking like 150 levels to complete. So there's plenty to do just for that portion alone. But we also have other modes to play too.
So some of the modes are, some of them are pretty silly. Okay, so let's
Very
talk about the Kitty Cat Doja mode.
Oh man, really?
Okay, yeah, so this mode, I had to click on it when I saw it, because
Sure.
they're like, have fight with the cat in your way, and it's literally a picture of a black cat that takes up half your screen, and then you just fight like the regular game. So that was a little
cheesy?
slapped in there,
Yeah, I
you know,
don't
that
like
was,
that.
but they also have the survival tower, which
cool.
is couch co-op. So, you know, you and your buddies can kind of duke it out or help each other to try to unlock that next tier.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like that Mortal Kombat tower system, kind of, where
Yeah.
you have to unlock or get a set amount of kills to unlock the next tier, which is
Yeah.
a little harder.
Well, Crystal and I jumped into co-op, and the way it works is you start with one fighter, and the other fighter's off screen. You have 3 heart levels, more or less. So you get the warning, last kill or something on that line, and then you have to swap characters. So it's kind of like a tag team system, right? So then you swap in, but when you lose all your levels, then you're game over. Now, is the problem with going to the next stage is you have to kill so many of these guys all at once. So there is,
600 sometimes?
well, yeah. So we're at 600 now at the point where we're at this point. There's 600 guys we have to kill in our 3 little heart levels between the 2 of us. And so when you bail out and swap in, my hearts then will regenerate, or my little blocks will regenerate as she's on screen fighting off whatever. And the minute she gets hit, then she loses another one. So it's a matter of timing. The problem is, man, there's so many guys sometimes on the
man.
screen at once. It's like, all right, last life. Not you're dead. I was like, oh, but you just said last life. But it was just it's
No
over.
grace.
Yeah, no, sometimes. So you got to be quick. But sometimes when you come back in, the problem is that you're coming into like 3, 4, 5, 7 guys around you all at once.
And that's when you kind of button mash.
Well, yeah, but he even warns you at the beginning of the game.
Do not button mash.
That's right. It says it. Don't button mash, because it's all about timing in this game. And it's not just hammer on the button, because when you hammer on the button and you miss,
Oh.
that throws everything off. It throws your balance off and right your timing. So all of a sudden you're out of sequence because you've missed, they nail you.
Oh man, sometimes you get punished.
Oh, you sure
miss
do.
once and then it's like, half my hearts are gone.
Perfect. Godly.
So, you know, we've gossed a lot about this game already, but another awesome highlight for me, man, is the audio. They have so many good soundtracks that just jive with the fighting, and then on top of all the sound effects that just totally coincide perfectly with it.
It's good too, and now as all that going on in the background, you get these big abilities that kind of blast through. All of a sudden you get this train barreling through, you get this big breath of fire that comes out and just murders everybody. Like it's
all sometimes like this rock music or even some of this kind of clubby music. Oh, I loved it, man.
It's very cool. The only downside I have with this game is sometimes when you know you've missed so many times, I would like an instant restart. When you know, if you play Trials, right? You go and your bike's not hitting the things and you got to restart, boom, you're instantly right at the beginning again and able to go. That's the only thing I would like to see with this game. Other than that, dude, I love this game.
You know, I'm going to get right into the score here, man. The audio is fantastic. The gameplay is a ton of fun. Yeah. Completely caught me off guard. I love it. 8.5, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, the game really kind of caught me by surprise. I didn't think I was going to enjoy this. I thought it was cool looking, and then when I got into it, I just couldn't put it down. I'm there with an 8.5 as well.
Nice.
Punch until your heart's content. We were instantly addicted to the Kung Fu simplistic madness. So many levels to fight your way through, the chaos won't end anytime soon, and that's awesome.
Alright, so I'm back with another tip, and I'm talking about Rainbow Six Siege yet again, and this time the operator IQ. Now, I'm pretty sure most people are familiar with her device, the Spectre, but did you know that you can detect people that are using their cameras with a device? If you're within 20 meters, you can detect all electronic devices through any wall. And if someone's using their cameras just to see you, you can see them. So this comes in pretty handy. So in addition to being able to detect people on their cameras and other sort of electronic gadgets, you can also detect the bombs and the operator Pulse. If Pulse is using his device to try to scope you out, well, you got the counter for it with IQ's Spectre.
Mission failed. All friendlies have been neutralized.
Scott, that was another jam-packed episode. Now each and every week, you guys hit us up at InsideTheGame.ca, where there we highlight one of your clips. Who do we have this week?
This week we have Mouse Murray on PUBG, just smashing it.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sticking around. We'll see you next week, Inside the Game.